Hey, what's happening? I'm sorry I didn't have time to do a promo. You won't believe what I had to do to get here, but it's okay. I am so excited. I am so thrilled to have my special guest, Mrs. Tiffany Thomas.
Hi, everyone.
Oh, goodness. And she's the owner of Therapeutic Consulting Services. Yes, exactly. So we got to find what this company's all about, because I didn't know they even existed until I met Mrs. Thomas. It was awesome. Great. I'll now call her Tiffany.
That's fine.
Hey, Pastor May.
Hi, Pastor May.
And so what really got me into this topic is because I was somewhere and people were talking about actually having to go through some scholarship interviews with some of the university students. And they were sharing how there was a current theme that kept coming up. And they were like, wait a minute. So many of the students who were, hey, Graham, who were 4.0 GPA or even the high flyers was saying that they suffered from clinical depression. I was just like, whoa, what is this? And then there's definitely a buzz going on right now. As far as articles, you have the different professors are all questioning as far as the anxiety generated or caused by GCSE testing. Are our kids being just stressed out by all of this? Before we get into any of this, right? You guys know how it is. Feel free, please, to post your questions and comments. I am so excited to see folks. Hey, Helena, nice to see you. Lisa, what's happening? Okay, Ajani, nice to see you as well. Korea, nice to see you. Charlene, woo. Mel, nice to see you guys as well. Okay, great. We can get started. Before we get into the topic, I want Ms. Thomas to actually explain to us about her business, because it's a wonderful service that they have. And she also shared with me that she is the first Bermudian to be appointed as the guardian. Yes?
Litigation guardian.
Litigation guardian. I wonder what that is. Litigation guardian in the family and court system?
Supreme Court.
Yes. Okay. So, Ms. Thomas?
Sure. So my company, Therapeutic Consulting Services, was born about 4 years ago after a career both locally and overseas. And I worked primarily in criminal justice, mental health, substance abuse, in education. Okay. And I started to realize that when I moved back to Bermuda and I was working locally, I was starting to see a lot of these same faces re-enter the system when I was working in criminal justice.
Okay.
And then it got to a point where I was having multi-generational families. So I may have had a father on probation as well as his son at the very same time. So I started to say, what is going on in our community, and are we really being effective? And I really started to question whether or not I was using my skills and talents, in the most effective way.
Exactly. Yes.
So I made the decision to leave a job that I absolutely loved. I had devoted a lot of years of service in that position, but I realized that there was more.
A greater need.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
So I decided, let me transition to education and see what it's like on the front end, as opposed to once people find themselves in these difficult positions, right? And so I was in the education system for a while, and I still felt as if there was something missing. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but I knew it was something missing. And so enter the birth of my business.
Okay.
And so I started to provide individual, family, and group therapy, children through adulthood. And
how young are the children?
P1, sorry. So they're 5 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, 5 years old.
Okay.
And so I get this call one day from this gentleman, and he says to me, I've been looking for you. I said,
stalker?
I said, pardon? Because I'm married, right?
Brother.
Pardon me? He's like, no, seriously, I've been looking for you for the last 2 years. Not you specifically, but somebody who has your qualification and your expertise. Correct.
Let's pause for a minute. So what are your qualifications?
So I have a bachelor's degree in psychology, a bachelor's degree in psychiatric rehabilitation,
a
master's degree in clinical social work, and I'm currently working on my doctorate.
You go, girl.
Yeah.
Ooh, all right. Oh, wow.
So he went on to explain that he was looking for someone who had a master's degree in social work, had experience working in the court system in criminal justice, had experience working with families, and had experience writing court reports. So it was almost as if he had read my resume, like he was reading my resume back to me. And he was like, but there's one catch. He was like, you cannot work for any existing organization or government department. So I was like, well, I don't. And at that time, I had just left the civil service. So I was like, I don't. I actually have my own business. So he was like, oh, perfect. That's when he explained to me about litigation guardian.
Okay.
In 1998, Bermuda's Children's Act was amended. And one of the amendments that were ushered in under that change was a provision that was provided for children to have independent advocates in the court. So anytime a child is involved with special proceedings, they are entitled to have an independent advocate.
So hold on one. I'm trying to keep up all this. Yes. I make a little pause here. Hi, everybody. Jermaine Postlewaite, Lori, Velma, Cammie. I see you all. Lisa, what's happening? Anika, Sharika, Tonika, Adanike, and Kim. I'm trying to say hi to everybody before we get into this.
Reverend Seaman.
Oh, my God. Pastor Seaman. Now, Pastor Seaman and I have been doing these great series, 3-part series. And so now she's like, what? I'm on the show today?
Too much pressure. I don't think she should be watching.
Hi. Okay, so break it down a little bit for those of us like myself who are like, what? Okay, what's the difference between a guardian per se, having a parent there, and also having legal representation there? What's the difference then?
Okay, so sometimes the proceedings may actually be against the parents because there may be allegations of abuse or there may be allegations of neglect. And so this provision allowed for children to have an independent voice. So because of the nature of some of the proceedings, it's not necessarily appropriate for a child to sit in the courtroom and hear a lot of that information.
Okay, pause right there. So does that mean that you meet with the students in advance to get a sense of their side of the story? Like, walk us through that process too.
Correct.
Okay, so walk us through that process.
So once I'm appointed, the court makes special directions, what's called special directions on what it is they're looking for me to present to them. So they may ask me, look, Mrs. Thomas, we want to know what this child's preference is as it relates to how much access they have with their parent.
Oh, gosh.
Or we want to know this child's preference regarding where they want to live. Those sorts of things. And so I do an assessment and I present a report to the court. And so when I speak, I break it down in the simplest terms for my clients so that they can understand it. Even though they see Mrs. Thomas, it's as if they hear the child because I'm essentially the voice of the child.
I got it. Okay.
And traditionally, children did not have a voice in the court. So that legislation was changed in 1998, and I was not appointed until 2014. So that's quite a significant amount of time that passed.
Why was that huge gap?
I can't. I don't know. I really cannot speak to that. I mean,
am I the only one confused?
No.
Wow. Okay.
No.
Okay.
So it's been an incredible journey. It's a huge honor to be able to represent children in this capacity.
Wow.
The dynamics are so interesting.
Well, I want to ask you about that. I'm not going to totally go off topic. But hang with me, people, because I didn't know that all of this existed in Bermuda because I was divorced, but I was overseas. So I'm trying to understand the process. So I'm just thinking, when I went through my divorce, I had a mediation type meeting, whatever. So it's the same thing. Like, how do the parents accept you coming in? You're saying, I'm here for the child. Like, how do they allow you, especially a 5-year-old?
Right.
How does the parent allow you to come in and basically take over on behalf of the child? Like, how does that dynamic?
Well, it's not.
I know me. I'm like, who is she? What?
No, it's
Are
not
you court appointed?
Yes, early court appointed.
Otherwise, she would come to my house.
No, early court appointed.
Okay.
I'm early authorized to act by way of the court order. And so historically, you brought up an interesting point about divorces, right? And so historically, mom has her position, dad has his position, and the child is traditionally stuck in the middle.
Yes.
And so mom's saying, this is what Sue wants. And dad's like, well, no, Sue told me this is what she wants. And it leaves the court in a very difficult position because it's like, well, what does Sue really want?
Right.
How do we know what is really valid her? And that's not to say
a lot of trust.
That's not to say mom isn't saying one thing and dad's not saying the truth. It's just, where do we strike a comfortable medium? And so that's where the guardian comes in and basically brings the voice of the child. So
the parents have to really trust you.
And trust the process. Absolutely.
And trust the process. So oh my gosh, I didn't realize this topic was so in depth. Okay, so Tiffany, how do you win their trust, the child and the parents, and then step into a court setting or wherever it may be, and you're having to negotiate or represent the child? Like, walk us through that too.
So in working clinically, the most important thing you have is your relationship.
Right.
So if you don't establish a firm therapeutic relationship with whoever it is you're working with, you're going to struggle.
Right.
And so I spend a lot of time developing that level of trust. I'm very transparent with the adults. Mm-hmm. And I say to them, I love to hear your story. I love to hear whatever it is you want to share with me. But let's be clear here. I represent the child.
Wow.
I don't represent your position. Like that, you have your attorney for that.
So mom can say, make sure you stress this.
No, absolutely not.
Wow.
Absolutely not.
Papi having problems.
So I can give you an example because, divorces can be very contentious.
Yes.
And anyone who's either been through a divorce or knows someone who has been divorced, they know that it's a very emotional time. It's highly emotive, and it's not the most pleasant experience.
Hey, Tanisha.
And so, I had a case recently where the parents had been in litigation for 6 years. Whoa. 6 years fighting. And it was tense and very contentious and very strained. And I worked on the case for 4 months and they reached a settlement. Now, that's not to say, pat myself on the back, but that's just to say sometimes a different voice can shift a perspective. Wow. So the analogy that I like to use with parents is, you have a child and you see your child every day. And it's not until you see like a distant relative or a long lost friend, I'm like, oh my goodness, your son's gotten so big that you're like, oh, wow, he has. But because you see him every day, you have a very narrow perspective.
Right.
And so that's the analogy that I try to use sometimes to show people, like sometimes that outside perspective can help you to see things a little differently.
Yes.
It's not about winning or losing. It's just, how do we strike a comfortable medium so that the child doesn't get lost in the process and everyone's needs are met? But my sole responsibility is the child.
This is fascinating. Okay, so my other question I'm asking, and guys, you know how I am, so please feel free to post your questions. We will get to the topic of clinical depression amongst teens, but right now I'm trying to understand the therapeutic consulting services business and what it means to have a litigation guardian. I'm just like, whoa, my eyes, I'm just wide open right now. Okay, so in the school system, do you have to get involved in the schools as far as operating the teachers and getting them to understand, or do you gather insights from the teachers as well?
Yes.
Okay.
So there may be examples where, for example, a child may be displaying some behaviors in school that they're not necessarily displaying at home. Or the school may have some disclosures that the child has made to them that they're not necessarily sharing with the parents. So when I do my assessments, they are comprehensive and I do connect with whoever the important players are in that child's life. Sometimes the school contacts look like scheduling case conferences with the school team to see how's this child functioning academically and how can we best meet their needs. There are different categories of clients who have a litigation guardian. So the example that you used with divorce, that would be considered a private matter because no government entity is involved. And then there are other proceedings where there may be other government involvement, like family services or something like that. So those types of cases are a little different than the matrimonial cases.
Wow.
But the concept is the same. It's to give the child a voice in the process.
All right, Tiffany, hold on, guys. I just scrolled down. I'm sorry, I'm trying to keep up. I'm just so fascinated with this topic. So I see some questions. So one question, and Nike's asks, Tiff, can you speak to cost? Is there any involved?
Cost for representation for the children?
I'm assuming so, yeah.
Okay, so there is no direct cost to the parents. Appointed by the court, authorized under the legislation.
Hold on, so what does that mean, appointed by the court? So basically, if they have a court case, the court assigns you?
Yes.
And so therefore the costs are covered?
Well, I'll be frank with your audience. That's still being worked out. So I've been providing this service for the past 4 years at no, I haven't been paid for it essentially for the past 4 years.
Oh no, we're not having that. We're not having that. Are you serious?
I'm absolutely serious.
Totally off topic. As an entrepreneur and a businesswoman, we gotta get you paid, sister. So we gotta talk offline, people. Thumbs up. Thumbs up for that one. Like, we gotta get Tiff paid. 4 years.
Yeah. So
I don't think so.
I've been providing this service to the government, well, because I've been appointed by the courts, right? So I've been providing this service for the past 4 years without pay.
Who does complimentary anything?
So
No, Tiff. No.
At the end of the day, I was like, okay, at what point do you say, no, this child's not worth the service. You need to sort this out, pay me, and then I'll do it. So, I've had a lot of conversations with myself and with others about
God
that.
Bless her heart. Everybody's like, don't Tiffany.
But I'm not saying that to say I'm not worth getting paid. Let's be clear.
We know that. Yeah. We're just trying to understand how we go through 4 years.
Yeah.
And the court system thinks, oh yes, we'll refer you to Mrs. Tiffany Thomas, and there's no fee. The devil is a liar. I'm sorry.
So
we gotta work that out.
I'm hopeful that a resolution is near.
I mean, I'm gonna go there, people. Even my marketing plans, I demand a retainer fee. Like, I'm not gonna write a plan for you and I don't get paid. There's gotta be a deposit. There's an intellectual property. Okay,
absolutely.
Tim, we have to talk.
And these reports do not take 20 minutes to write.
My point is, for 4 years, oh my God. You feel me on this one, right? So, okay, I'll just go there for a minute. So if someone came to you outside of the court, you do have a fee structure, right?
Yes, if they came for individual, family, or group therapy.
Okay. So,
I have clients who come in, like some schools will refer, or family members, like a mom may say, listen, I think my daughter needs somebody to talk to, those sorts of things. Or someone may bring themselves in and say, listen, I'm going through a rough time. I really need counseling. Those clients, they're private clients. They do pay.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I see my ace girl from Barclay, Anika DeShields. The accountant's like, submit a bill for 4 years of work. That's.
Thank you, Miss DeShields.
I'm talking about Anika, because I'm just like, wait a minute. Something's got to retroactive. Something's got to happen here. Totally off topic. I'm like, wait a minute. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, what other questions or comments do you have? I think it's like, that needs to change. Exactly. Like, we're all in shock. Like, we're really wrong for Tiffany.
Yeah. But right? Because I really do.
I know you have a love for this.
I have a love for it.
I know. But
and
love don't pay the bills.
I try to be as optimistic as possible. Mm-hmm. And so when I started, I didn't imagine that it would have taken 4 years, right?
I got you.
Like, I'm like, okay, maybe 2 months, but not 4 years. And yes, I have financial needs as well. But I realized maybe like midway through, I was like, well, no one would ever be able to assassinate my character. No one would ever be able to say that I saw an opportunity to make money and I capitalized on it, because I've already proven that I'm not in this for the money.
Yes, that is true. And, yes, a couple of comments coming through. Patty Wood was like, no. You are worth more than that. Bless you. But payback. Oh, sorry. Back pay. Yes, absolutely.
I believe that too, Ms. Woolrich.
Linda Miser, another one, trade unionist. You feel me as Kenyatta's daughter. I'm saying what? 4 years? I don't think so. Unacceptable.
Right? Remember how much the furlough day, 1 day before pay, and people were up and downs? Could you imagine 4 years? But I've never compromised my ethics. I've never compromised my work ethic. I've never compromised my clients, because it's not about the money. I know that the money will come.
Yes. And Lisa James says it's the passion that keeps you going.
Absolutely.
Yes, child. Yes,
absolutely.
I understand that. What past the passion? I'm just like, cha-ching, how to get paid. Okay. Get your contract sorted with government and courts ASAP. Anika, a woman of my own heart, love you to bits. Exactly. All right, Tip. Okay, so basically, back to the original question, right? So folks can contact you directly, and you explain to them what your fee structure is, right?
For individual consulting.
So can you tell them now how they reach you, please?
Okay, so if you want to contact Therapeutic Consulting Services for individual, family, or group counseling, and we work with children and adults, I'm not the only clinician on staff.
Okay. How many on your staff?
I have one other clinician and an administrator.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Right okay. Our contact number is 400-5141 extension 1.
Okay. Yeah,
that's the easiest.
And where are you located?
Well, presently we're located near Pasta Basta, but we are actually in the process of relocating effective July 1. So effective July 1, we will be located on King Street next to the fire station.
When that's going to happen?
July 1st.
Oh my goodness. Okay,
yes.
Guys. So next week, she has a new location. Okay, sweet. All right. Anyone else? Any more comments about Therapeutic Consulting Services before we get into our real topic? Hey, Lorraine, my cousin in Baltimore. Whoop, whoop. Okay, guys. All right. So that is, You do a lot, Tiffany.
I do.
That's exciting. I didn't know. So I'm just like, wow.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
I can tell.
I absolutely love it.
Oh, that's just that is awesome. That is awesome. Okay. Now the topic for tonight, guys, is about clinical depression. As I explained earlier, I've had several just conversations and just talking to people. They were talking about how their children are stressed, particularly the 4.0s. They were saying, they're in university, in their interview applications, or even the process, they were admitting that, I took the semester off. I was stressed, or they just basically just needed a break, needed a change. I'm like, wow. And so I'm just like, okay, well, what is happening? And there are articles going on right now that are basically questioning the GCSEs. Is it causing anxieties? And I'm just remembering, myself and Barkley, I'm like, were we all that stressed? I don't remember that. I don't know, but it's like this generation definitely is. So let's go from what is clinical depression, and then we could go from there. Okay.
So clinical depression is a mood disorder. And under the umbrella of mood disorders, there are several different disorders. Clinical depression is one. Bipolar is another one that people may be familiar with, as well as anxiety. So clinical depression, I need to preface this. I don't want anybody out there to think that when you hear me, you can self-diagnose.
Oh, gosh.
Please don't be a Google doctor.
Disclaimer.
Yes, a disclaimer. So,
my folks won't do that.
So clinical depression is, in order to qualify for a diagnosis of clinical depression, the symptoms must be present for 2 consecutive weeks.
Yes, I read that.
Nonstop, right? And so it displays itself in different ways. So it may be automatically, all of a sudden, like a lack of interest in things that you used to enjoy, or your sleep patterns may change. A severe sense of just like apathy, a heaviness, just feeling very lethargic, and you can't shake it. You can't bring yourself out of it.
So parents, I think what I must cut you off, Tiff, what I'm really trying to get across to parents is not just looking at, there's a mood swing, but really being in tune with your child and to be able to ascertain, okay, something's not right.
Right.
Because, this could be very subtle.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm hearing a lot of parents saying, that's a great topic, because I didn't realize that X family member or my little cousin, my little niece was actually clinically depressed.
Right.
Yeah.
And you brought up a very interesting and valid point when you were saying, it's very subtle.
Yeah.
Because you also have to remember that puberty and adolescent years are marked by hormonal changes. And so sometimes we as adults, we can easily be like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to get through the teenager stage. These hormones are driving me crazy.
So true.
Which, it legitimately can be hormones, but then you also need to keep your finger on the pulse of, is there something else potentially here?
Wow.
Because if you've seen that this darkness, and I use that term in a way to kind of illustrate what it feels like for the person. I've worked with people who have mental illness, and it's interesting how they describe their individual experiences. So I had a client, and that's actually what encouraged me to start working with the younger population. I was 21, I was working overseas, and I had a client who was younger than me. And he had significant mental illness. He had been diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia.
Wow.
And he also had depression. And he was younger than me. I was 21. Wow. And so when he had his moments of lucidity, when he was compliant with his medication, he can explain his symptoms so vividly. It was as if he was painting a picture. And so he says to me one day, he's like, Miss Tiffany, they call you by your first name. Have you ever woken up in the morning and your blinds were down? And when you opened them, it was no sunlight. It was still dark. And I was like, well,
what
yes,
an image.
Daylight saving. He's like, that's what every day is like for me.
What an image.
So no matter what time of the day it is, I've opened my blind, but it's still dark. So when he's in those low spaces, or when the symptoms are very prevalent and he's not compliant with his medication, that's what life is like for him.
Wow.
So we see people who may be going through the motions of life, and we think, oh my God, that person's so miserable, or they have a chip on their shoulder. All of these things that we say about people, but we have no idea that this person's fighting a battle that we know nothing about, and they can't even decipher how to deal with it.
Wow.
And then, to bring that to our environment, and make it, personal, to then enter into a culture where it's very close-knit, we're very community-based.
We shun people.
And there's a huge stigma associated with mental illness. And that's not unique to Bermuda. That's not unique to Bermuda. But because Bermuda is so small, it feels as if the stigma is intensified. So,
exactly. I mean, I don't know if you know this, Tiff. I don't really talk about it a lot, but my mom was mentally ill.
Oh, wow.
And so all my life. And she died when I was in my early 30s. But I share that to say when people meet me, they're like, oh, wow, Angela, I didn't know. But I had to fight through that because, again, the Black community, Black family, it was definitely criticized. It was definitely shunned. We were teased because of it. Sometimes, it was embarrassing when you're a young child going through all that. And so that's why I wanted to have this discussion, too, to let others know that if you are a child, particularly my teenagers, and I meet them in my workshops and I tell them my story. That's why I got along so well with the at-risk teens. And they're like, really, Miss Young? My foster kids, my at-risk teens, the ones that come through teen services, whatever the case is. And when I talk to them, like, listen, your beginning doesn't have to be your end.
Absolutely.
And I know, guys, it's not church, but my foundation is God. So for me, I tell them, God has a plan for your life. You are destined for greatness. Right. You can beat this. You can do this. And if you need help, let's get the help that you need. Right. And so I think when I'm very transparent with my students and the parents are like, whoa. And I'm like, yeah. And I got my master's.
Amen.
Right. Like, hey, but it wasn't easy because Ronnie's daughter wasn't supposed to achieve that. I always tell my students, success is the best revenge. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
So when you go to the family functions, you get respect because like, hey, I'm doing my thing. I'm a boss. But I say all that to say it was very hard, particularly, during those early years going through that. So my heart breaks when I see, especially I see young people now that quite frankly just couldn't get past it.
Yes.
And I see them now and, they're just basically, they're gone.
Absolutely.
And it breaks my heart because they didn't have, I think, that support or that mental capacity to push through it. Because I've always been told that up until 25, if it's not dealt with, you could become mentally. Is that true? I've always been told that.
Well,
I didn't look into it, but I was told that.
The research shows that the onset for mental illness is 18 to 25.
Right.
So because at 18, you're considered an adult in most jurisdictions.
Yeah.
Clinicians are reluctant to apply the label before that time.
Okay.
Because while the indicators may be there, you have to exercise caution.
Right.
Because if you diagnose a 17 or 16-year-old as having paranoid schizophrenia, that carries with them for the rest of their life.
Absolutely.
And so I appreciate the wisdom behind that. So 18 to 25 is what research suggests is where the onset is. Right. But we've seen some cases where you see them much younger than that demonstrating these behaviors. And so you red flag them, so to speak, and you monitor them and you give them intervention with the hope that, whatever supports you're putting into place may allow them to be successful. You said something, you actually said two things that stood out to me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to remember. So you were saying, thank you for sharing. Like, thank you for being so transparent. That's amazing.
At 46, it's like, I'm going to do what I got to do.
Right. So you were saying, your, what was it? This doesn't have to be your story or something.
Yes.
Right.
Your beginning doesn't have to be your end. Yes.
And so when I have clients in private therapy, right, and they may be working through whatever it is, one of the things that I say to people is your experiences, they don't become the title of your book. Yes. They just fill the pages that become the chapters.
I love that, Tip. I love that.
You know what I mean? And it allows them to have some sense of ownership. Like, yes, you may be widowed, or yes, you may have experienced a horrible traumatic experience, but that doesn't gain the right to become the title of your book.
Absolutely. I think in my case, when I reflect back, it was difficult because my father was definitely, a trade unionist, pro-Black, very militant. So I had that going on. Blended family that didn't blend very well, to be very honest. My dad's second marriage. Yeah. But all that to say, I just knew from young that education was my way out. And so, when I started Barclay, I decided then, my mom was just like, I'm leaving. So I basically emancipated myself from the situation and went to my dad.
Well, aren't you a revolutionary?
At 11, I was just like, we're out.
Check you later.
Ghost, deuces, as the kids say. I'm being honest, right? And so my dad was like, what? I'll now forget I called. I was supposed to be going to Vacation Bible School to teach at St. Paul's AME Church.
Oh, you was a rebel.
I was a rebel.
You skipped church?
I did.
To run away from him?
It was Vacation Bible School, Tim. And I had to go there. I catch the bus. My great aunt's house, Mom Noni, bless her soul, was always there for me, and my granny particularly. So I was just like, I'm out. You know, there was an episode that's part of the book. Quite frankly, I am writing a book.
Good stuff.
Yeah. And that's when I decided, like, enough of this. Like,
Yeah.
I'm out.
Yeah.
And so, you know, but I've always been very self-sufficient, very driven. And at times coming up, people have misunderstood me as being selfish or arrogant. I'm not even worried about all that, because when you have to survive under, you know, an environment which is when you don't have someone to validate you, when you have people constantly speaking negatively against you, and you have people always trying to pull you down, you definitely have to have a strong mind to push through all of that.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, I have no time for any of that. I'm like, look, I've had to fight for everything I have.
Right.
So if you don't like me, that's cool. You don't have to like me. Somebody likes me, and I'm out. Like that's just
I
how
like me.
I'm.
I like me.
Yeah, exactly. I'm okay.
So you were saying, you know, you got to the point where you're like, I'm out. I'm leaving. And so I love that. And you know why I love it? Because I'm pulled to the children who don't have an out. What about that child that's stuck in that situation? They don't have anywhere else to go, and they have no voice.
But I didn't know I had an out. I was just like, this is not going on. But I started Barclay. I graduated from West Pembroke. That's something I was just like, I'm out. Sorry, Barclay. That's it. Totally different. I didn't know. If my dad said no, I don't know.
Well, thank God he said yes.
Because I was just like, I'm moving in, brother. Poor man.
Thank God he said yes.
Oh my gosh. Look, I love you too. That's so funny. You know, it's part of the book, but I am so, that's why when I tell people about Cameron, I'm totally going off topic, but when Cameron was diagnosed clinically mild ADHD, that was like after M1, you know, she saw the worst case, and Cameron was just, I'm not like them. I'm like, I hear you. But let's be real. If I gave you 5 instructions, 5 things to do, you might remember one, and the other stuff go over the head, or the deer and the headlights.
Right.
And she don't know what I'm talking about, whatever. And I just said to her, hang with me. I'll get you through this.
Wow.
And I really believe as parents, if we're strong, then our children will be strong. And so for me, it was like, I was like, I'm not going to lose you to this. Like, we're going to beat this thing. And I'm proud to say Cameron, you know, got 7 A's, her GCSEs, and 2 B's.
Awesome.
Yeah, but I was a mom that was crazy. It was just like, you know, I'm her pit bull. I'm her advocate. I'm her cheerleader. I'm the one that puts things in perspective. All because thanks, Gail. I never had that coming up. And so I've always tried to give Cameron, I swear I'm living vicariously. I'm like, Cameron, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm winging it. I hope to God you come out okay.
You became the parents you never had.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's another good friend of mine. She lives in London, and we talk about it, similar backgrounds. And we say the same thing. Like, we try to give our children what we didn't have coming up. Totally off topic, but I just felt the need, God's got me saying this, I just felt the need to share that, because, you know, people just look on the surface and they just think, oh, she's perfect. God, no, sister,
I'm fighting a battle you know nothing about. And you don't want to come on this battlefield.
No, it's not for the weak. It's not for those that have low self-esteem. Like, you don't want this, sister. This testimony is woo. Oh, okay, Tiff. Okay, back back to the top. Is this what Pastor Stephen knows how I am? I go all over the place, right?
I love it.
Well, you guys know we're done at 9:00. So again, get the questions in, and please comment or whatever. Thank you so much. Okay, all right, Nika. Exactly. Thank God for strong mothers. I mean, it is what it is. Okay, so Tiff, so once you are working with a child, you're going through the school system, you're going through all that, you basically won the parents over, explain to them what's going to happen. So what happens in the court?
So the court asks all parties for lack of a better term, a position. And the position's provided. It gives the court guidance, and then based on all of the information that the court has available to it, it makes a decision. Wow. So it's something that's called the welfare principle that guides court proceedings when children are involved.
Okay.
And basically that just says the paramount responsibility is always the welfare of the child.
Right.
So you may think that it's amazing to take your child to Disney World in the middle of October.
Oh gosh.
But your child has exams. So that's in their best interest. You know, those sorts of things. And I say it lightheartedly,
I have to jump in, even those parents who don't have these issues. I'm like, why is your child going away this week? And you know full well, Cambridge exams start next week, Monday. I had that this past April.
But they're not only that. I mean, look, Angela, you open up a can of worms, right?
I always do.
But then we wonder why we have young people who can't prioritize, because we've overindulged them. We've given them everything they wanted. We've shown them that a shopping trip is more important than preparation for an exam.
Yeah.
And so when they become adults in the workforce, they become entitled. They can't prioritize tasks. They can't prioritize responsibilities. And we wonder why. Like, it comes from somewhere, right? I
just have to go there. Like, I'm enjoying all of these graduation pictures and the videos, whatever. But I'm just like, your child's 11 or your child is 13.
Yeah.
And why are they coming out of a taxi?
Like, let's put things into perspective.
I'm just like, okay, so what happens when they graduate from high school? Like, what's going to be the prize then? Or when they graduate from university, what's going to be the prize then? I already told Cameron, like, hey.
I understand some people's desire to give their children things that they never had. I get that. I get it completely.
I get that too. But moderation.
And not only that, but I always caution people, not necessarily in my practice, but in my personal life, my godchildren, nieces, nephews.
Yes,
I'm like, hey guys, we've reached a level that, the generation before us didn't reach.
Yes.
And so we want to give our children these experiences and opportunities that we never had, but let's remember to give them the things we did have. There's values, there's very basic fundamental things that ground them as humans, right? So we're so quick to lavish them with these expensive things because as a child, we would have loved to have had that,
oh my gosh.
But we're not teaching them the very basic fundamentals. Say good afternoon when you see somebody on the street, even if you don't know them. And
I have to jump in there, Tiff, because when my dad passed out in 4 years.
Yes, Miss Woolridge.
And the parts, the hotels. And when his health deteriorated, something really hit me as a parent and as a child for me, because my dad and I are like this, very close. And I realized, even though I was making good money, I could no longer go to him and like, hey, Daddy, you give me money for gas?
Right.
Like, those days were over.
Absolutely.
And so it was like, my mom was gone. My dad's health was deteriorating. It's like, he was dementing, all that stuff was going on. And I realized, wait a minute, I am truly on my own.
Yeah.
I'm truly on my own. And I look at my past experience. I'm so proud of that because, having been made redundant, whatever, I've been able to survive whatever life has thrown my way.
Right.
And so I share all this to say, it's the things the values that we teach our children, that we want to make sure that they can sustain themselves, that whatever comes their way. And I think if we over lavish them with stuff, it's like, okay, if something goes wrong, are they going to be able to survive?
And are we setting them up for failure?
Absolutely.
Like, are we giving them a life that is not really real?
Yeah, like it's okay to get a D on a test. Or, I know a case right now, a child's been tutored and they don't know their division, but yet they graduated this week.
Right.
And I'm just, okay, so
and they feel like they've achieved something.
And they feel like and then this child got everything. I'm just like, well, we know they don't have their basic math skills. Except, why are we rewarding them?
Right. Absolutely. I call it the going to Disney World for getting 100% on a spelling test syndrome. Like, I'm not going to take you to Disney World because you got 100%. I may put the spelling test on the fridge and give you a high five, but it ends there because guess what? That's what you're supposed to be doing.
But that's the fun. I had one student, I'm going to be honest. I had one student last fall, one of my challenging students, I must admit. She turned it around. 16 was bragging to me like getting 100% on her French test. I was like, boo, please. You should be having conversational French at 16. Like, you're graduated in 2 years. Like, spelling test? You're trying to brag to me about a spelling test? Let's get real. I mean, she was not impressed, mind you. But I was just like, look, like, you should be having.
But she needs somebody in her life to give her that dose of reality, right?
And I'm
because you can't show up on the job site and be like, boss, I came in at 9:00 today. You're supposed to do that every day. I'm supposed to pat you on your back. Go to your left and do your work.
You're supposed to get a raise, but I'm here to say, because I challenged her in December, she was failing all her time at Berkeley. Mm-hmm. In December, she made principal's honors.
Awesome. Well done, whoever you are,
7 weeks with me.
Well done.
She leveled up. She leveled up. Yeah, she did. She did. I was just like, are you kidding me? You're 16.
But she rose to the expectation.
Yes.
So if we have very low expectations, then why do I need to push, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
She rose to the expectation.
Wow.
Some people intrinsically have that.
Yeah.
And others need to be taught. But if there aren't people in their lives that are going to teach them and push them and really pull out the best in them, they get lost.
It's true. It's true. I know, guys, we're totally off topic. Okay, let me look to see what.
Sorry, guys.
Let's see what's a couple of comments. I agree. I'll say quite a few of our students feel entitled, go on vacation during the school term, and then expect the teacher to catch them up. Girl, you ain't lying. Oh, my goodness. Lisa, parenting styles is a vital component to a child's success in life. Absolutely. Yeah. Love it. Hey, Darius, what's that? Darius, I know you got things to say about this topic. Darius always got something to say. Love Darius. Okay, so Tiffany, once we've gone through the courts and the courts have basically made their decision, then what happens next? Do you still stay in contact with that family and that child?
It depends on the type of case. So the matrimonial cases, no, because the therapeutic relationship is over. It only is focused around that one minute piece.
Wow, how is that hard for you to pull away?
So when you do short-term intervention, termination and relationship building happen simultaneously. Those are things that you're taught when you're in school, right? Okay. So when you're doing short-term intervention, the same time that I'm building a relationship with somebody, I'm also terminating because this is going to be a short interaction. Some cases are more longer term.
Yes.
So it may be a decision made today and then a directive to come back in a set amount of time for information on another thing that needs to be looked at.
Now, the case you mentioned earlier, that was about 6 years. 6 years. And then you brought it to a conclusion in 4 months.
Yes.
Was that something you're still involved with?
No. That was a matrimonial case.
That's a matrimonial case.
They settled by consent, which means both parties agreed.
Yes.
And that was it.
Oh, wow.
And the children are happy. They've gone back to their quote unquote normal lives, whatever that is.
Okay.
And the tension between the parents subsided tremendously.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. Okay, guys. Okay, question. How do you teach intrinsic motivation?
Well, intrinsic means that it's like it comes from within, right? So I can't necessarily teach you how to do something from within. But what I can do is support you with learning how to be motivated without these outside rewards. So it may look like, okay, I'll be very transparent. You know, I have a 9-year-old son.
Yes.
And we implemented a responsibility chart at home.
Oh, nice.
And so
not a reward chart.
No, a responsibility chart.
Okay, what's that, Tiffany?
And so the responsibility chart is broken up into different segments. So there are certain things that he does. He absolutely has to do. I'm not going to high-five you. I'm not going to give you 25 cents for it. It's make your bed.
Okay, so chores.
Right.
Okay, responsibility. Okay, in our day, we have chores, people. Now they're called responsibility charts.
So there are certain things, certain chores that he has to do, right? Mm-hmm. And I'll say, like, you know, there was a point where he was leaving things in school.
Yeah.
So, you know, make sure you bring things home from school. But the beauty of this responsibility chart, right, is that there's one category, you do these things, there's no reward.
Oh.
The second category of chores, you do get a reward, but there were not big ticket rewards. Not like 25 cents. Like, yeah, I'm talking 1980s rewards, right? So I'm like 25 cents for bringing the trash can up after trash day. Those types of things to build, you know.
That is back in the day.
And then there are like big ticket items, things that he doesn't necessarily like to do. So he does Kung Fu. And sometimes he would not necessarily like to train in between classes. Okay, if you do Kung Fu, you got $1, right? And if you do it 7 days, because it lasts for a week, that's $7 just from Kung Fu. Well, your boy was motivated, right? But there's a beauty to it. Okay. So then there was another part, which I called fines, right? And forgive me, that's my criminal justice background, right?
Well, for me, I'm the queen. So I would give Cameron awards and I'll take them away. I'm the queen.
The fines were talking back. Wasting food, those sorts of things, so that he can understand these things have a cost, you know. If you forgot something in school, all of those sorts of things, right? And then the fines were like $1 or something, right?
I like this.
And so at the end of the week, we'll add up what he earned The Kung Fu ones were called bonuses.
Yes.
So we added up the bonuses and then we subtracted the fines. And then we taught him how to tithe on it. So whatever you earn, no, you tithe on that. Nice. The rest is yours. Do with it what you want, right?
Okay, Tiff, hold on. That was just, wow, that's powerful. Okay, Tiff, we're going to slow it down, do it one more time. So people, if you understand, Tiff explained basically her chore chart, which she calls a responsibility chart.
Because the
language has changed. I love
but
this.
not only that.
Yes.
If I say chore, then he feels like it's a chore.
I got it.
These are your responsibilities. And he had a sense of ownership about it, right? And then we got him to a place where I didn't even have to prompt him. So he will go look at, is in the kitchen, and he'll go look at it and do his things and tick off what he's done. And
so what age did you start this responsibility chart?
We started that with him when he was 7. And his 9 now. And so he doesn't have to be prompted. It's right in the kitchen somewhere where he sees it every day.
Right,
you know, and it was things that I knew I was like, we were always reminded, take your stuff out of our room. Get your shoes out of the living room. Yeah, I'm gonna fix you. You leave your shoes in the living room, that's a fine. And so listen now, he became this entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
And so at the end of the week, when he realized he was paying like $3 fines when he could have been making $20, right?
Man didn't like that. He
says, look, can I pay my fines as I get them? Like he didn't want to get deducted at the end of the week, right? Said, look, however you want to work it. But then he got to the point where he never had fines. And so he had this sense of, oh my gosh, and he saw his improvement, right?
Well, so he was basically learning achievements, basic, also negotiating skills, responsibility, accountability, oh my God, that's a lot of lessons.
And no, he's like so proud of himself. Like, you know, if we go out, like maybe for a family dinner, he's like, can I pay? And of course we don't let him, you know, but just the immersion.
Oh, I let Cameron.
He's 9. I'm not going to pimp him, right? But he has this sense of like, you know, he feels like he's really earning his keep in a sense.
But I will say Cameron paid for ice cream. I was so excited. And Linda's last week. I was like, okay, fine. That is awesome, Tiff.
So the person asks, you know, how do you teach intrinsic motivation? I can't teach you how to do something that comes from within, but what I can do is build on the skill you already have.
That is a great way how to do that.
Right.
Oh, I love that.
So that's one example. There are many, many examples. Celebrating success.
I say celebrate the small wins.
Yeah, celebrating success breeds motivation.
Absolutely.
And then in my clinical practice, when I work with private clients, I use a strength-based model. So we're not going to sit in here and talk about all of your deficits. You already know what you do bad. You already know where you're lacking. Let's talk about what you do well and how can we build on that to start supporting you in these areas of your life where you're not quite content with what you're doing.
Wow. So Tip, you said a lot just now. So what I'm hearing from you is, oh my goodness, parents, again, we are the Yodas. We are the cheerleaders. I'm a Star Wars fan, right? So we're the ones that set the tone. But what I'm hearing from you, Tiffany, is basically setting expectations, operating from a position of strength.
Yeah.
And highlighting that in your children.
Absolutely.
And also the language that we use.
Absolutely.
I think that's powerful.
Language is powerful.
That is powerful.
Language is absolutely powerful.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow. Any questions, guys? Don't see anything coming up yet. Hey, Chris.
And it takes a lot of retraining.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, instead of being like, don't leave your shoes in the living room. You know, I really like when you pack your shoes up. And then it's like, I'm going to do something my mama likes.
Yeah.
So she ain't going off for me. You know what I mean?
She's not nagging me.
Right. Exactly.
As Cameron would say.
Exactly. So
yes, Tanisha, good and bad language. Exactly.
But it's a skill you work at every day. Even me, you know, as a clinician, a practicing clinician, I still work at it. You know, there are some times when I probably say to my son, you know, but at the end of the day, he also knows that his parents love him.
Absolutely.
He also knows that we're his biggest cheerleaders. He also knows the affirmations, because I really believe as parents, we have to affirm our children.
Oh, yeah.
We can't be wait on the outside world to do that.
I always tell my clients and parents, I just tell them all the time, that's your seed. So if you don't nurture it and, you know, grow and do all those good things, who will?
Right.
Who will?
Right.
It takes a lot of work to get them to be stronger in different areas, to perform better, to be motivated, to do what. It's a lot of work. I tell my parents all the time, we are the overworked, underpaid, or not paid PA. It's like, this guy got to do what I gotta do. And my girlfriend just left for tonight, and her daughter's 9. I'm just like, girl, we got a long way to go, sweet me.
Yeah.
This camera's 60, I know. But the beauty of it is when it does when that dance happens between you and your child, it's exciting to be a part of. It's very exciting to be a part of. Yeah. Yes, Tanisha, we as parents need to curb our tongue. Yeah, and I would say, Cameron's in the room right now, but I would definitely say I am reformed, because the old me will go off in the first 2 seconds. And Cameron be like, you still do that. But I say I'm reformed. I have learned to, watch my reactions because I don't want, and my dads always say to me when Cameron was younger, don't break her spirit number. Don't break her spirit number. And I didn't know what that meant when she was 3. But I definitely understood what that meant when she started maturing at 10, 11. So I'm like, okay.
Yes.
Because I realized, I had the potential as the mom to break.
That's her.
That's exactly
her.
Who she is.
Exactly.
So I have to be very careful about that.
Absolutely. And, these unique qualities or characteristics of our children, it's just for us to nurture it, really.
Yeah.
It's just for us to teach them how to use it, not to strip it away from them.
That's good, Tiff.
Like, my son is very, he's a critical thinker.
Yes.
He will challenge you. He will ask questions. You cannot tell him the sky is blue just because it is. He'll say, but why?
Yeah.
What? Yeah. Like, he thirsts for information, which I love, you know what I mean? But I also know that if not trained properly, that can be experienced as talking back. And so he has to learn how
He's also a leader.
Right. He has to learn how to use that critical thinking in a way that's not disrespectful. So yes, I don't want you to stop being a critical thinker. I don't want you to stop being inquisitive, but I want you to know how to control it.
Yes.
I don't want you to be disrespectful, because at the end of the day, nobody cares how smart you are if you're rude.
Mic drop. Absolutely. Pastor Stephen was on something about mic drop. There's like, boom.
Out.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly it. Tina says it's important that we as parents keep it real as well. We are not perfect, but a work in progress. They too need to see that.
Absolutely.
Tina, that's why I said I'm reformed. Cameron is like, Mommy, you are not. Stop telling your clients you're reformed. You know you're not reformed.
That's funny. She's like,
that's
my camera goes off.
That's my story. I'm claiming it. But no, Tina, seriously, absolutely. And I tell my clients too. I think it's also why I get so get along with my students, because I just have the discussion. Like, for instance, we talk about rewards. Totally off topic. We talk about rewards and distractions, and one of the 16-year-olds will say, "Oh, well, I'm like, wait a minute. My phone's a distraction." And I would say, "Why? Because the cutie's calling you." And the mom's like, "Miss Young, I can't believe."
But let's keep it real.
Hey, he's 16.
Because he's not on your phone playing solitaire,
and he's good looking. Like, I'm just saying.
Exactly.
Let's call it what it is.
Exactly. I have to piggyback on what Tina's saying about, keeping it real and not putting up this front for our children that got it all together. Mm-hmm. I realized one of the most powerful things that I did with my son was apologize when I'm wrong.
Yes.
I'm so sorry. Too. Please forgive me.
Yeah.
That is one of the most powerful things that you can do for a child, because it role models for them. You don't have all the answers.
Yeah.
You don't always have it together, and you do make mistakes.
And to be honest about it, and I think also too, as parents, I try to tell my clients as well, is to model the behavior we wish to see.
Absolutely.
And so for us to apologize to them gives them the opportunity to say, okay, when I'm wrong, I should feel comfortable enough to say I'm wrong.
Right.
Or I didn't do it right. Or I didn't handle that right. I would say it to Cameron.
Earn your stuff, man.
Hey, I love that.
Earn your stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Danica, I love this. We have to give our children their voice. Now, parents, I want to caution that. Giving them their voice is one thing. But when it comes to the point where the lines get blurry, and I see it all the time in my workshop, who is the adult?
Come on.
And who is the child? Case in point, I had one young lady who started my workshop. She had just finished P6. And at the time, she was M1. This was like 2 years ago. She sashayed to me. 20 minutes in the workshop. What leave, Miss Young? What out of her? I said, wow. I was like,
what bills you paying?
I was like, who's leaving? And the mom was in the back, bawling, crying.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, she don't know. I'm not wrapped tight. She don't know.
You're not wrapped at all?
I'm not wrapped tight. So I took her outside. And I gotta have it. I was like, wait a minute. Both your parents are unemployed. I know this. You were given a scholarship to be in my program. So if I let you walk away, that means you lied, I lied, your parents lied. That's not happening. So wipe these fake tears and get back in the classroom.
Thank you.
Well, she did that. When I looked, she was answering the questions. Again, another one made the honor roll. At the end, I just had to let her know who is.
She just needed you to check her.
Yeah, I was like, girl, girlfriend.
She just
really just a little 2x2 so. Not the kid. Not Kenyatta's daughter. I don't think so.
Yeah. And you make a very valid point, because a lot of parents are so busy trying to be friends with their children.
It's sad
that they're afraid of the confrontation that comes along with being a parent.
Yes.
Being a parent, listen, if you like me, it's something wrong. You're not gonna like me. When you're about 22, you might be like, you know what, mommy? You was such a good mommy, but there were times when you really got on my nerves. Well done. I know I did my job.
Yeah, Kenyatta was crazy. Absolutely crazy.
So I say that to say, we can't be so concerned about cuddling our children and stroking their egos that we're not checking them. Because again, they get into the workplace and they can't understand why the supervisors held them accountable, or they're getting a poor performance appraisal because they didn't meet the expectations. Then all their life, the finish line was always moved because you decided you wanted to
accommodate
exactly
their foolishness.
Exactly.
Okay, Tiff, you're getting like me.
Sorry.
We're totally off topic. Okay, guys, we got 30 minutes now. Okay, Tiff.
Oh my gosh, wow.
I'm telling you, the time. Tiff was like, what?
I have 90 minutes worth of talking to me.
I was like, trust me, I'm a talker. You're gonna be just fine. Okay, guys. So Tiffany, back to the clinical depression.
Yes.
Now, you be talking about what that looks like. You've talked about how that is usually, at least 2 weeks,
consecutive weeks.
Okay, so what happens when you see a child displaying X behavior? Can you walk us through that? Like, what do you see that may be a red flag? That may be like, okay, parent, we're really in denial, but this is what's really happening here.
When you see a child displaying it, so
I don't know,
teenager, I'll say teenager.
13,
so
14.
all of a sudden, your social butterfly just becomes a very isolated, withdrawn child.
Wow. Okay.
They don't want to do anything. They don't want to hang out with their best friends anymore. All of a sudden, your child who used to love art and used to love drawing and any artistic expression, all of a sudden they start throwing away all of their pastels. And they want nothing to do with art. It's like, okay, what's going on here? It's no longer my interest has changed. This is like very dramatic.
Is it very drastic?
Yes, it's very drastic. It's not, I don't want to, I do ballet, jazz, and tap, and I just don't want to do ballet anymore. It's not like that. I've completely cut off that part of my life that used to give me joy, and I no longer enjoy it.
Now, here's another question. I always get this from my parents. Oh, Ms. Young, my child suffers from test anxiety. Now, I would say to them, is it really test anxiety, or did you prepare for the test?
Right.
And a lot of times, my students will admit, no, Ms. Young, I didn't study.
Right.
Now, so what is the difference between clinical depression and then anxiety? Yes.
So anxiety presents more as like a significant worry.
Okay.
The symptoms are very different. The symptoms manifest themselves more psychosomatically, like in your body.
Yeah.
So like knots in your stomach, sweating, intense headaches,
vomiting,
those sorts of things. And so there are some people who have situational anxiety, like definitely afraid of flying.
Right.
Those sorts of things. Or some who get so worked up over an exam that they have a difficult time even performing.
Okay.
There are people who legitimately have those things.
Yes.
And so they would need some type of accommodations to be able to sit the exam and be able to perform well.
But as a parent, how do you, I guess, recognize that?
So the first thing is to know your child, right? Is to see when those changes happen.
Okay.
So you, like you said, are your child's biggest advocate. So when you recognize, listen, there's something going on her and it's not normal teenage, you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's something significant. That's when you reach out to a professional for some level of intervention. Because I'll be honest, when you want to go into the school and advocate, you want to be armed, right? You don't want to just be the mama who's like, my child has test anxiety. Well, how do you know that, Ms. Young?
Right.
Well, because every time before she has a test, she's up all night. Okay, but how do you know it's anxiety? You know what I mean? So you have to be able to make these informed advocacy pleas for your children, right?
And I'll just jump in too, parents, when it came to Cameron and particularly fighting for her accommodations, it did help to have the experts with their PhD behind their name, quite frankly, and her godmother with me in a meeting.
Yeah.
And I have to document whatever. To definitely assist with that. I guess for the parent, I'm trying to help the parent who may say, I really don't know. I hear what you're saying, but I really don't know if I can call it.
Right. So then if you can call it, that's where a professional is needed.
Okay.
Because it's no different than if you're experiencing intense cramps, you're not going to diagnose yourself with appendicitis. You're going to go to the doctor and say, listen, I've been having these severe abdominal pains and I don't know what it is. Nor are you going to say, well, it's just PMS. Because if it's persistent, you're like, okay, something's not right here.
So trust your instinct.
Trust your instinct and seek professional help.
Right. Okay. And that would be someone like yourself?
Well, I don't diagnose. So people who diagnose in Bermuda are registered psychologists or registered psychiatrists, but I treat.
But you treat.
So there are different types of treatment. There are traditional ways of treating medication. There are talk therapy ways of treating where we train or teach people how to rethink their thinking. There are methods that we use to get people to connect their thoughts with their behaviors and their feelings to make the connection. Like when I feel like this, I usually think that, and then I act like this.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So another question. I'm sorry. Tip us another question for you. Tanika asks, okay, question. When your daughter's schoolmate mentioned if they don't come to school the next day, they probably killed themselves. And then the schoolmate says, I was just joking.
I'm glad Tanika brought that up because that was actually going to be another, the next thing I was going to talk about when you were talking about depression is suicidal ideation. So making threats about committing suicide, saying things like, I just wish I was dead. Why was I even born? I don't like being here. There's sorts of things clinically I can never take lightly.
Right, as a joke.
No. So there are people who may do that as attention seeking, right?
Right.
And a lay person can easily be like, oh my God, just so attention seeking. But as a clinician, I professionally and ethically cannot do that.
And that is, oh my gosh, off topic by topic. When people say, oh, that person is so strong, now it's a new trend going around, like saying people are saying, check on your strong friends.
Yes.
Because people are feeling very pressured.
Right.
But they're not sharing that. So for someone who, I didn't want to go there, but okay, fine.
Thanks, Tanika.
It's okay. So what would be some of the signs of someone that could be on the verge of suicidal? Are there signs that a parent can look at?
The symptoms of depression are clear cut.
Yes.
You will never really be able to pinpoint suicide by looking at somebody.
Okay.
It will be something that they're overtly doing or saying. So do they have a preoccupation with knives? Okay. Have you noticed that they're keeping pills in their bedroom? Those sorts of things. Because why else would you be stockpiling a leaf?
And even cutters.
Right. And
cutters. I have a family member that shared that, and I was just flabbergasted because on the surface, to look at her, I didn't know that all of this darkness was going on.
Absolutely.
I walked away just, oh gosh, it was heart-wrenching.
So like back in my day, right? I'm not that ill, but back in my day, if a girl was wearing like a high neck shirt in the summer, she was probably trying to hide her hickeys, right?
I was gonna say that.
But nowadays, it's not that. It's the scars. Wow. So look at your child. Like it's 90 degrees outside, but she's walking around in a hoodie. Why? It's about being perceptive. It's not to say every child that wears a hoodie in the summer is suicidal or depressed. It's about being perceptive to what information is always available to us. Yes. It's whether or not we use the information.
And not being in denial, I think basically just having that, just really looking at like, is something going on? I would rather overreact than not react. Meaning I want to investigate. I'm getting in the room or something. I'm going to check this out.
Right.
Okay, Kim has a question. Is test anxiety a disability or an illness? And who on island can test this and other possible learning issues? Oh, nice question.
That's a good question, Kim. So test anxiety falls under, it will be a subsidiary of anxiety, right? So anxiety will be umbrella. And then under that, there are different types of anxiety. Okay. And so a registered clinical psychologist in Bermuda or a psychiatrist can do a battery of tests. It's called a mental health examination or mental status examination.
And how long are those?
It varies. Yeah, okay. It varies.
It could be a couple hours, a couple months.
It depends on how extensive you want it to be. So you may go in and say, listen, my child is experiencing boom, 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 boom.
Yes.
And then they'll look just for that. But they may do some other, exploratory questions to see if anything else could be going on.
Okay,
Kim's question is a two-loaded question. So she's saying, test anxiety, and learning disabilities.
Right. Hold on 1 second. I'm gonna jump in that part there too, because again, I'm trying to help those parents who maybe like me at that time was very ignorant. So when I was getting Cameron assessed for ADHD, I challenged them and said, listen, I also want to see a speech pathologist because I noticed some things there. Again, I'm noticing. I don't know. I'm just noticing. And then I also wanted to have her tested by and assessed by a neuropsychologist.
Yes, absolutely.
So I had the psychologist, the speech therapist. So all that to say, parents, what I'm trying to encourage you is to challenge and to ask the questions, and don't be satisfied with that first answer.
And don't accept new.
Exactly. In my case, if they were trying to medicate Cameron, I said, no, I'm not, medication will not be my first line of defense.
Right.
This is where my intellect leaves the room, my faith kicks in. I'm different. I know not a lot of parents aren't like me. Well, I'm just going to go for the jugular. Right. I'm not going to walk away.
Right.
So I say all that to say, if they go to see a professional, they should feel empowered.
Absolutely.
To ask and make demands.
Right. So what I say to my clients, the ones who I work with in private therapy, right? If a parent brings their child in and they're like, listen, I need my child's exhibiting this. You are the expert on your child, not me,
Right.
I'm the expert in my field.
Yes.
But I'm not the expert on your child. So I say that to say, when you're looking for somebody to give you support for your child, you know your child better than anybody else.
That's good.
So if you get an answer that you may determine is insufficient, or it may be mediocre, or it doesn't quite sit well with you, keep going.
I know for my case, again, I wasn't satisfied with the first assessment I got from a local professional. I won't give names. I took Cameron away. Again, I'm just different. That's just how I am. Okay, guys. Tina says, bruises from a partner. Got that. And Tanika says, they are cutters, and that is the way to deal with stress. So that breaks my heart.
Yeah.
Wow.
And pain.
Yeah.
And pain. There are very few things that we can control from a child's perspective, right? There are very few things that a child has power over.
Yes.
If I decide I don't want to eat, you can't force me. If I decide I want to cut myself and get in my room and do it, that's what you won't do. So if I am living in a place where I feel as if I'm so powerless and I have very little control over my life, the few things that I can control, I'm going to control them. But unfortunately, they show up in ways that are very self-destructive. And so sometimes we as parents, our child's hold up in their room with the door closed, and we're just like, oh, well, that's what teenagers do. Check on them.
Oh my gosh.
What's going on in
so there? True. So I want a little plug for you, Tiffany. Thank you, Patty. I know Patsy was like, Angela does it all the time. And I said last month I was not going to have a live chat, but I heard this topic. I was, oh my gosh, I'm going to share it with my fam. So here I am. So Tiffany, would love to have you on for a part 2 series.
Thank you, Ms. Woolridge. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. I'm not sure if we'll do it in July, because I try to do stuff during the school year, but I don't know. We'll see. Good stuff. So, oh my gosh.
So anxiety,
yes. Yeah. So we talk about the differences. Okay, what else can parents do?
Other than ask for help?
Yeah. What else can they do?
Support their children through it. And the biggest thing that I try to tell families that I work with is, you may not understand what your child's going through. You may not even agree with it, but it's their experience. Right. So you have to validate it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because if they're already in a deep, dark place, or they're already feeling as if no one gets them, and then here you come, you ain't got nothing to worry about. You don't have any bills to pay. Life is easy for you. You have no responsibilities. In that breath, you've told that child what you're experiencing doesn't matter. So get over it.
Exactly. And that gets me so angry.
Yeah, but just sitting here in the office saying, please help my child.
Yeah, that gets me so angry.
So as parents, and I say this with parents as well, like sometimes parents need their own support because they need to know how to support their children through.
Absolutely. And it's not easy.
It's not. It's not absolutely easy. Not. Yeah.
And I think a lot of parents sometimes, bless our hearts, want to osmosis experience. And sometimes you just have to get in the trenches. Like I tell my clients, look, get some Kleenex, get some ice cream, go for a drive, get out the house, and be prepared to have the snotty cries and whatever else it takes to find out what is happening with your child. They're your child.
Yeah.
And I think some parents don't want to go through that. And I'm like, look, that to me, that is so paramount. That's like, that's the first thing to do as a parent. Like, have the discussion.
Yeah. But it's scary too.
It is.
Because most parents, when they embark on this journey of parenthood, right? You have all of these fantasies about what that's going to be like.
Oh my god!
You have all of these fantasies about what your child's going to be like.
Yes.
Who they're going to become as an adult. And then you hear midway along the journey, there's something wrong with my child. And I say wrong in quotes because really it's nothing wrong. It's just how do we just work through it, right?
Yep. New normal.
So then you go through this phase where you have to grieve all of the images that you had in this fantasy because you realize, you know what? That wasn't based in reality.
Reality is not matching.
Exactly. That may not be what my child wants to be. Or they may make it there, but they may take some twists and turns. It may not be a straight road.
Absolutely. This is just great. So, Tiff, is there anything else as far as with clinical depression that we should be aware of? Like, what services are available in Bermuda? We know we have yours.
Yes.
Okay, what else is out there for parents as far as for their tube out to help them, all that good stuff?
So we have child and adolescent services, which comes under Bermuda Hospitals Board. And it is free to the public.
That's free?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Well, you got insurance,
right.
But you don't pay. You don't pay for these. So even if you don't have insurance, forgive me, even if you don't have insurance, they're not going to bill you for it.
So are your services covered through insurance?
No.
Oh, okay.
So what was the other one you asked? Private clinicians.
Yes.
So you may have registered psychologists, and you can find that online. There's a list of registered psychologists. The Bermuda Health Council is a really good website to access. They have registered health professionals in every field. So it's not just medical doctors. My company is on there. You can go on there and find registered speech pathologists. You can go on there and find occupational therapists. So that's a wealth of information for our community to look and see what resources are available based on whatever your need is.
And that's Bermuda Health Council.
So they have on their website, have a directory of services and treatment providers. And so the last time I was on there, I haven't been on there recently, but the last time I was on there, it was divided in categories. So if you're looking for, where you been?
Oh my goodness. Cameron left me on her laptop and she brightens the screen for us.
Let there be light.
Let there be light. I'm sorry, Tim. I'm like,
so if you go on Bermuda Health Council's website, they have a directory of treatment providers.
Okay.
And the last time I was on there, it was very user-friendly. It was divided up into categories of specialization.
Okay.
So if you're looking for a psychologist, you can click on the psychologist,
right,
and it'll filter out all of the other things that aren't relevant to you.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, guys, we have a question. Tina wants to know, what would you say to parents that have, this for you, Tiffany, what would you say to parents that have too much pride about seeking help, support for their child?
Well, if you're not part of the solution, unfortunately, you're part of the problem.
Yeah.
And so sometimes parents need to remove themselves and figure out it's not about me.
Yeah, absolutely. I always say too, like, either you deal with it now,
right,
or you're gonna deal with it much later and be more costly.
I'm not saying it to be flippant, but then also I would have a conversation with the parent about what is this resistance about. If you find out something that you're not hoping to find out, it doesn't change the essence of your child. So why are you so resistant to this process? Because sometimes there's something underneath the surface that's more than just, oh no, I don't want to get help. It could be anything. Could it mean that you as a mother has failed, or you as a father, you failed? Does it mean that you somewhere along the line messed up your child? You know what I mean? The resistance comes from somewhere.
I think also too, being exposed. I think some parents don't, that's fine. Some parents don't like to be exposed. I mean, because you're coming to your house,
right?
Like, all the dirty laundry is gonna be out.
So I say to my families when I work with them in office, all behavior has a meaning and all behavior meets a need. But are you willing to try to uncover some of that stuff to find out what it is this child's communicating? All
right, that's a mic drop. Say it one more time.
All behavior has a meaning and all behavior meets a need.
Nice.
So
Nice.
are you willing to peel back the layers and see what is the meaning of this behavior? Like, what is it you're trying to communicate?
Right.
And
right.
what is the need that this behavior is filling?
Wow.
And how can we support you?
Okay.
Not how can we fix you, because I don't fix anybody. That's not my job. How can I support you?
This is good. This is good. Yeah, that to me sounds like a mind shift.
Absolutely.
Wow. So
And
how do we get
strength
parents?
based.
Yes. So how do we get parents to make that mind shift?
They have to be willing to go there. So that question about what is this resistance about?
Yeah.
That resistance is behavior.
Yes.
Let's see what's the meaning of this resistance.
Let's go deeper.
Yes.
Let's go deeper.
And,
Wow.
it doesn't come overnight. And that's why I said in the very beginning, the relationship is key. If you don't have a relationship, if I don't develop a healthy therapeutic relationship with my clients, they're not going to be willing to go there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you spend time developing that relationship,
And
so
that trust,
when you get to that place, you're going to have those moments where they're having the waiting to exhale cry, but you're there with them.
Yeah.
You're not judging them. You're not doing any of that. And you're validating their experience. You know what? I hear you. As a mother, you're saying, I'm failed.
Yeah.
You're questioning.
But that's not it. Yeah.
You're
Exactly.
questioning, did I take that second job and I left my child home? I should have been there. All of these things that people go through, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I even think about myself with Cameron before I understood. Thanks, Tanika. Before I understood what her challenge was with ADHD, and I reflected on, M1, the shouting, the screaming,
Frustration.
Oh my goodness! And then the lectures, the long lectures from Collector's Hill to school. So I was like, the mouth wouldn't shut up. And then like, oh my gosh, what did I do? What did I do? And I had to get over that and realize, okay, I have to put it together. But yeah.
And guess what? And that child listened to that and went to school and was expected to function.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when that child, your daughter's quiet by nature.
Right.
But imagine a child who acts out and isn't quiet. And so when that child comes in and they're wired, first period, the teachers are saying, what in the world's going on? You had no idea. I was in the car with my mama making love to me.
And
about something that I can't control. Yeah. And I don't even have the language to label what it is I'm experiencing.
Or at night. It'd be night, I have to go back to school. She got a book. I'm good off. But I look back now.
Because you feel powerless. You feel completely helpless. And you're like, what is wrong with you?
Exactly. And I think also too, Tiff, some of it as parents is learned behavior. Mm-hmm. I think there in some cases I saw that coming up with my great aunts, whatever. I saw that coming up. And so we just do what's natural. But I wanted also to encourage parents too. This generation is different. Mm-hmm. It's very, very different. There's a lot of hand-holding in some cases. Sometimes, they're not going to be just sit back and take whatever you say. They're going to challenge you. So you have to be, open and be willing to have that discussion. Don't allow me disrespectful. Definitely put them in check because my students know Miss Young. As they say, Miss Young's extra. I am. I crack up with that one. I'm extra, whatever. But they know I care. If I see someone out in town and I'm like, "Don't you live in Devonshire? Why are you in town?" They know Miss Young's gonna call them out.
Right.
That's just how I care. I love them, and
that's
how I roll. They be like, "Oh Lord, Miss Young." But then I see them in town. They want to break their neck and wave to me, give me a hug. It's so cute. But the first time they're like, "I don't like that leg."
Whatever.
I'm like, "Boo, it's okay. We'll get through this too." But all that to say, it's all good. Oh my goodness, Tiff, it's hand tonight.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so do you have? Oh my god, we will have. He just tells me no, I'm gonna just chase it up. We will have a part 2. Tiff, this has been fantastic.
I've enjoyed it. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh my goodness, I mean, learning about therapeutic consulting services, learning about your journey as the litigation guardian. I'm just like sitting there in awe, and talking about clinical depression and this. This has been just fantastic. So, Tiff, any last comments you want to, before I do my commercial break, guys, any last comments that you want to share with the folks? Again, also, please make sure that you tell them what your business name is, how to get in contact with you, all that good stuff. Okay. You remind them one more time.
So, those of you who've been tuning in all this time, my heart is for children. And so my last plug would be just listen to our children. Just listen to what they're saying, but more importantly, listen to what they're not saying.
Awesome.
Know your child and speak up for them. because they don't have the language to describe their experience. My company is called Therapeutic Consulting Services.
Thank you.
Contact number is 400-5141.
Thank you, Tanisha.
Extension 1. And we are currently relocating offices. So effective July 1, we will be located on King Street next to the fire station in the same building as Oxford Learning Center. And I look forward to speaking with you guys whenever I get invited on. You've been a great audience. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Okay, guys, now for my commercial break for Kicks. What is happening with Kicks? Whoop, whoop, whoop. All right, July and August, I have my 2 workshops for my university freshmen. So check out my website for that. It's going to be kicking off. Look, I've heard about 3 students that came back in December that just couldn't cut it.
Oh, wow.
One parent told me they wasted $13,000.
Oh, wow.
Can you imagine?
No.
So we don't want to waste the money. We want to save the money. So send them to my workshop. Basically, I'm trying to help them not only to level up, but also be able to make sure that they make smart decisions and choices during those first time with all this freedom. What's going to happen with that? It's snowing, but your butt still got to get up and go to school.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to call and check on you. Those type of discussions, budgeting, all that other stuff, all that's going on. So again, that's what's happening. But my bigger one I'm so excited about, guys, is my Kicks Live conference. So I'm going from the Facebook Live to the road tour. Woo! Yeah, God is stretching me. So what's happening? Saturday, September 1 is the date. I'm hosting it at Buoy Bermuda Underwater Exploration Institute. There will be tickets on sale right now for $40. My early bird special, it expires July 15th. Regular tickets will be $55. My patient tickets are $85. I have 5 explosive topics. It's awesome. Okay, so raising a boss, level up, decoding Gen Z. If your child was born after 1995, you have a Gen Z, Generation Z. Get ready, folks. This one is the social media demographic, so we got to know about them. Then after that, co-parenting for your child's success. Ooh, Lord, I'm not even going to lie. I am so glad I have oceans that separate us. But anyway, I digress. But, I keep it real. And then I have boys to man. But the topic really is, girl, that's not your man. That's your son.
Come on.
That's the topic. But, I got to say boys to man. For these mama boys, yes. And then my last one, daddy's girl. I'm a daddy's girl, but what I really want to do, a different spin on this, is really celebrate those fathers, because our first love is our father. The man that twirls us around the room is our father. The one that said that we're gorgeous was our father. And so I have selected, I must admit, go on my website, I have a lot of men on my panel.
Awesome.
So I have 25
Whoa.
25 guest panelists.
Awesome.
So I have 5 panelists for each topic. I am so humbled by the caliber of my guest panelists. I mean, I have 2 clinical psychologists, 1 psychiatrist. I have expats. I have locals. I have divorced moms, single moms.
They represent the population. And it's a nice, diverse group. So again, I have 25 very senior folks. I have stay-at-home moms. I have the group. So I am so excited. So go on my website, kicksystems.com. I do have a couple of changes to make on there, but I wanted to give you guys a heads up because I know my parents are like, Angela, when are you doing this conference? So I'm doing it. Saturday, September 1. It's going to be at Buoy. Now, Buoy only holds 155 people. So get your tickets
early. And I'm also going to have an exhibit booth area. So basically, the local resources that help Bermudian children develop their leadership skills, all that good stuff, they're going to be available too, on hand to answer questions. Doors will open at 9 o'clock. That ticket price includes continental breakfast, a light lunch, an afternoon snack, and door prizes.
Awesome.
So again, check out my website, kicksystems.com. You see the tab that says conferences. All the information is out there. And I will say this, people, there's no live streaming from you. You can't come in and live stream. You can't come in and take pictures and record it. None of that's happening because the topics that we're discussing are very sensitive. And so it's an adult only conference. I'm sorry, but do not bring the babies. No, we can't have that. Do not bring the children. We're not having that. It's really for the adults, for the parents, because we're going to go there. Yeah. You know how I am. We're going to go there. And again, my guests they're the same personalities. They're going to come and just keep it real and keep it straight, straight, no chaser. I'm doing this for all of us because I'm finding these are the topics that are hitting parents in 2018, particularly in my workshops. And so I basically looked out within my clientele base and I go, okay, who are the parents that I feel can really address this and be honest and transparent and just basically share, like, well, how did you do it? Because we're all trying to figure out, children come with a manual. And we're all looking for something. I think this conference, in my humble opinion, is the closest thing you can get to it.
Sounds incredible.
So again, guys, you have my university freshman workshop. You have my conference coming up. You also have my refresher for my KICS graduates. That's September 8th. My regular workshops on note-taking starting strategies kicks off on September 22nd. Again, all of that's up on my website. The next 6 months is definitely booked out. What's happening? Have a lot going on. Lots for you guys. I mean, it's been 4 years. It has been such a journey. And I'm just honored by all of you. And Tiff, it's been a pleasure to have you. That's the end of my commercial. But again, check out the conference, folks. The $40 tickets expire July 15th. Bermudians, do not wait. You all wait. There will be no ticket sales at the door. Don't try to come. I know Angela when I have
Angela won't know you that day.
I certainly will not. Okay, guys, thanks so much. I hope you enjoyed it. We will have a part 2. I will announce it. God bless. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much. And Tip, it was just a pleasure having you.
Thank you. It was awesome. Thank you for inviting me.
Night, guys.